Deep breath out. So take your right hand, grab the left side of your head, and just pull it down towards your right shoulder, and
Okay.
look up diagonally to your left. But
Okay.
don't move your head. Just look up,
Okay. Okay.
and just breathe deep and slow. And change that.
Okay. Change sides. You said
Yes.
without moving my head, right?
No, don't move your head. Just
Okay.
look up. Use your eyes. Until you just feel it, like maybe you might yawn.
Okay. Yeah.
You
That
might
actually does come to me.
you
Probably
might
because it's
swallow. Well,
yeah.
we're basically just kind of just resetting your nervous system.
Okay. All right.
And just let it
Okay.
go. Look, close your eyes and take some slow, deep breathing. Good. So open your eyes. Good. Good.
Okay.
How's your new year coming along?
It's not so bad. I'm not gonna say it's great, but it's not so bad either.
Okay.
I can't. I try. Like I said, I try to think of New Year as being like any part of the year. We talked about that last time. And I don't want to say like okay, New Year, yeah, things are going great. You know what I'm saying so far this year, or
Hmm.
what I'm saying I've had New Year's like the first like first week and a half. Where things went badly, it's like okay, that means that this year's going to be just terrible, And I'm not gonna lie to you. I think that we all still, saying from a metaphysical point of view, I think that we all have points in our lives when we maybe going through, we have like a bombardment of like, things that may be going well for us or things that may be going badly for us, either or, and in my past, in my lifetime, my trajectory is always happened towards the beginning of the year, And I remember when I was about 22, 23, no, 20, 21, 22, 21, 22. So we're talking about 2001, 2002. That year from that new year of 2022, where I was like, dude, like, like the bad thing, like not bad things, but like the negative things were like piling on, And I'm like, yeah, it was kind of like that like a couple years ago too, But in the end, I kind of realized, good things and bad things happen. Saying they happen in abundance. They happen, frequently. They can happen all at the same time. They can happen, saying spread out. In the end, I think that a lot of times we find ourselves um, kind of focused on the fact that saying like wow, why is everything bad happening to me right now, or why is everything good happening to me now, saying, and especially for a person like me that's really paranoid. I'm like, okay, these bad things are happening, so I'm just waiting for the next bad thing to happen to me, so but yeah, but like I try to take it in stride, one of those things that you try to teach, and you try to teach me too, saying like Rigel, things happen. What I'm saying? And this is one of the things that you've taught me, one of the things that you've conveyed to me, from a stoic point of view, like Rigel, like that happened to you, but how are you going to use that? Are you going to use that as a stepping stone? Or are you going to use that as something to try to bounce back from, or are you going to just let that get you down? What I'm saying? So I try to take it in stride, and think that, everything happens to all men the same. It rains on all men the same. So yeah, but like I said, so far this year, it hasn't been particularly well or particularly bad. So it's just been. What I'm saying? So,
Mhm.
and what about yourself?
Well, I'm very excited. Michigan won the national championship
Yeah,
last night,
yeah, yeah.
so that's
This,
my that's
but the
that.
Pistons, but the Pistons are probably the worst team in all the professional
Oh, I
sports.
know, I know. The Pistons are horrible, but Michigan, that's my alma mater. So
I know that's
definitely
your alma mater. Exactly.
definitely very excited about that. But but beside that, life is good. I'm still in Morocco. Going to go to Portugal actually on Thursday. So just enjoying a little bit of time off the grind, but still working online and doing some stuff. But it's
Okay.
connecting with really good friends that is family. Not even they're not even friends; they're family out
I mean,
here.
but
So
don't
so.
I mean,
Mm,
the thing is, like, I'm very introvert myself. A lot of people,
mhm,
they look at me like, Roger, you're always very lively. You're always very, saying you're always smiling, blah, blah, blah,
mhm,
blah. And I tell a lot of people, I'm really introvert, saying I really don't
mhm.
like, hanging around with people so much. But don't you think that when you do have those select few of friends, if the select few is, you know, 15 or if it's 1,500, um, aren't they your family anyway? Because we're all connected though, right?
Oh yeah, that's where I looked at. I don't really, for me, it's just about connection. I'm not so
Exactly.
much caught up in like the bloodline or anything like that, but just the connection. And for me, and that's one thing I'm really working on more and more in my life, having less and making that less be more
Okay.
meaningful, more everything.
Okay.
And like even when I eat now, I'm starting to just, before I used to be like, oh, I want to get everything on the buffet, but I was a spleef. But like now I'm just learning how to eat slower, chew my food, just eat maybe just one or two items and just really enjoy those one or two items and really enjoy the taste of those two items versus having like 30 different items on my plate and not
I see what you're
enjoying it.
saying. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah,
There's actually a movement about slow eating. You know what I'm saying, and
yes.
chewing your food. What I mean, and I remember. I don't remember exactly the number, but I remember I was like in middle school, I think it was,
Mhm,
and someone told me like, yeah, you should chew your food at least every mouthful you should chew at least 32 times. I think I don't know what it was, 32 times. I don't remember the exact number, but and that was like probably I think the preface, the beginnings of of trying to understand what mindfulness is. What I'm saying. So,
mhm.
um, do you think that trying to enjoy just those two foods instead of 50 foods, for example, being in Morocco, there's so many different foods to eat. You know what I'm saying? That Middle Eastern cuisine, that Mediterranean cuisine. You know, do you think that if you ate so few foods and enjoyed them, but how would you feel? How do you feel about the fact that of the other foods that you didn't get to try? You know.
Well, I mean, I think that's something that I've always dealt with my life. This FOMO, this fear of missing out.
Okay. Exactly.
So
Exactly.
and so
Exactly.
so instead of having FOMO, because it's impossible to experience everything in life, and
Okay.
then sometimes like that chase of trying to experience everything, you never get to enjoy any one thing. So instead of just trying to experience everything, just enjoy like a little bit of things and just enjoy it fully.
Okay.
You know, just truly enjoy it fully, and that's it, and move on from there. Like trying to stop like what is it called? Um, what's the word, multitasking and stuff like that
Okay.
also. So just
Okay.
really just trying to be just have much more singular focus with the way I do things, and
Okay.
and the way I organize myself and the way I experience and pleasure things. And if I feel it's so much just more healthy for my nervous system, and I'm
Okay.
able to relax a lot more deeply when it's time to relax, and when it's time for me to be energized and focused, and on top
Okay.
of it I can easily crank it up and dial it in. But when it's time
Okay.
for me to go to sleep at night, I can relax too and go to sleep at night. But when I think you're trying to do when a person is trying to do too much, their nervous system becomes fried, and it's like you have what they call a dysregulated nervous system, and that's what so many people in modern society have now. Is that like they're always go 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 go, then they have burnout, and they wonder why they have burnout because they don't give their nervous system a chance to really just calm down when it's time to calm down, really
Okay.
express itself when it's time to express itself. And I'm not talking about from an intellectual standpoint. I'm talking about something that beyond the intellect. It's a much more like animalistic, you
Okay.
know,
Okay.
aspect of our nervous system, of our limbic system in our brain,
Yeah.
where 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 at times it's kind of like an animal that's being
Yeah.
chased in a while. Like
Yeah.
after they've been chased for a while, they'll freeze because that's their fight or flight, and then once they And once they know that they escaped, they'll shake it out just to kind of release their nervous system and restore their nervous system. But
Okay, but
but so you animals do that much more instinctively, where we have so much of an intellect, we just like power through stuff. Let's power through stuff. Let's power through stuff. Let's get it done. Da, da, da. It's that type of world that we live in now. It's like, yeah, we got to be that man at work. We don't only sleep 2 hours a day. Da 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 da. This da da da. Especially in America, it's like that. And I'm not quite sure how it is in Italy. I think Italy seems to be a much more leisure place.
there
But
is much more. There's much more leisure
yeah,
here than there is, say, in America. But okay, so let's say, for example, a person like me who's hyperactive, clinically, or saying even amongst his friends, and I feel that saying there's that FOMO, there's that fear of saying of missing out, as you said before. Because I think we also have to clarify that out for a lot of our peers, because I remember it was like 3 or 4 years ago. I remember I saw FOMO. And I was like, "What the fuck is FOMO, dude?" I'm like, so I'm like,
yeah,
I'm on Google, like, what is FOMO? You know what I'm saying? And the fear of
yeah.
missing out, and I think that that's always been our thing, and that's part of what drive us as a society, as
Yeah,
civility. We've always, saying, even when we think about the great explorers, and saying kings and queens,
Lauren.
and royalty and nobility, they've always wanted to know what was going on in other parts of the world, because they said, what's going on? Why don't I know about it? You know what I'm saying? So don't you think that it's part of, saying human nature to also want to be able to participate, experience, or bond with, things that probably shouldn't, saying shouldn't touch us, normally. You know what I'm saying? How do we distinguish the difference, in your opinion,
No,
between, what
I
what
don't
what's
think.
what's for us to discover, and what's for us to let I don't know that I'm cool with that. You know what I'm saying? Because the line can be very thin. You know what I'm saying? So there are a lot of things that I want to know. And that's one of my personal tenets. One of my personal ideals, one of my personal, things, is that I learn something new every day, even if it's like something so silly as why buttons on a man's shirt is on the right, whereas buttons on a woman's shirt is on the left. Things like that I want to know, what I'm saying? Because that's part of my FOMO, what I'm saying? Because I'm like a FOMOtologist. I don't know if that word fucking exists, but I'm gonna coin that word right now. A FOMOtologist, a person who
Okay.
lives with FOMO, right? But yeah, but so since the beginning, or since the beginning, since saying since recorded history, we've always been fixated, or tuned into trying to understand, saying what's going on. If it's if it can be detrimental to us, it can be essential to us. It can be even trivial to us. But we've always wanted to know what's going on with us. How do we distinguish the line between Rigel, Richard, the rest of the world? That there is not so important for us, and this here is important for us. How do we understand the difference between the two? Do you think, in your opinion?
What I think, first of all, that is our human nature. We always want what we don't have, and I think that's a good thing. I think it's like, it does motivate us and inspire us to explore and to learn more and to learn new things. But also, we live in a different time than we did thousands of years ago, where
Oh
we
yeah,
needed to do that just for pure survival. Whereas now we kind of pretty much have our basic stuff done. So maybe a lot more the exploring is more inner exploring, more inner
okay,
awareness, more inner consciousness.
okay,
But I think with all these things, you shouldn't look at trying to have boundaries and have distinguished lines. I think you can have the best of both worlds. I think you can still have the desire to learn more and to be curious, because I think that's what keeps us young. That's what keeps our mind open. But at the
exactly,
same time, we can still cultivate presence and
okay,
still cultivate appreciation. A lot of
okay,
times we're so curious about what's going on next and what I'm missing out on. We
exactly,
miss out on what we are in the
exactly.
what's
What's
going
happening right
on,
now?
right, what's
Yeah,
happening right now. So I think the masters have both. It's like I studied kung fu for a while, and they call it relaxed aggression. you know
exactly,
you,
exactly,
you know
exactly,
you,
exactly.
you're present in the moment, but you're also attacking. So you're also moving
Exactly.
forward no matter what. And I think,
Exactly.
no matter what, our human nature is to move forward. It is always to be curious. And you should never try to resist anything, especially that's so natural to us. But at the same time, you can cultivate presence too.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
So, so when we're cultivating presence, and like I said, I completely agree with you. Because this is one of those things that I think that maybe we learn as we become older. I'm not sure because, like I said, I was like I told you, I was a phomatologist before.
mm-hmm.
I think that's what we said, phomologist. I was a phomologist.
Formality.
Yeah, yeah,
Formality.
exactly. I was a phomologist before saying the ideal of FOMO existed. Saying I was one of those type of people. And I would have to say that having served in the military and having served, saying in especially I was in the telecommunications and the intelligence sector, that kind of exacerbated, that kind of amplified, that ideal of I need to know what's going on, let me know everything, so I might not use what I know, but I need to know. What I'm saying? And but the thing is, like, with time, with age, and with with wisdom, when a person becomes sage, they kind of understand, like what's really important to know and what's important not to know, or what's important to know and what a person doesn't need to know, and and I'm in tune with you on that one right there, but how does a person, how do people, how do we as humans, how does we as a civility, as a society, as civility, how do we, in your opinion, go from understanding what we need to know, what's detrimental, what's important, what's vital, from what's trivial, what's useless, and what's how can I say, non-important, non-essential. How do we do that? Because
Right. I think all other animals know, and we know too. But we have so many distractions,
okay,
and we're distracted by our phone,
okay,
distracted by what our peers think. But I think if you really just take that moment just to really be aware, that's why it's good to take your time,
okay.
go slow, be present with how you're feeling, what's going on, because
I'm
those
always
those are.
taking my time, and that's the reason why I'm always late every day. Like
But but
I feel like I'm a low cost airlines, because
but
I start with my first lesson, my first appointment
mhm.
of the day, 5 minutes late, and then like the second appointment becomes like 10 minutes late, and then by the end of the day, I'm like an hour, behind.
but
But yeah,
but
I see what
question is that you taking your time, or you have too many
I'm just
things,
I'm just late. I'm just late.
you have too many things scheduled in a tight window.
Exactly. I'm on that CPT. I'm on that CPT, and also I suffer from
Yeah.
the fact of what most people suffer from, and that's another thing I want to talk about.
Mm, mm.
Is the fact that I think that unfortunately sometimes we feel that we can do so many things because we know so many things. You know what I'm saying? We know so many things, so we think we can do so many things in a time that's not appropriate for the time that we have allotted. So I may feel that, saying I can say I can do a podcast with my bro. I can do, saying a lesson. I can, say I could proofread, 17
Mhm.
scientific papers in one night, and I probably could if I did everything, saying, like you said, with this false or pseudo multitasking. But in reality, that never happens. So like you said, yeah, it's, for me personally, it's not because I'm living in that moment, and it should be, and I agree with you completely with that. I'm saying I should be much more present, much more in my mindfulness, but I'm not, saying, and most people aren't, saying. So how do we get people? That's what I'm saying is how do we get people like me and like lots of other people thinking mindfully?
I think you're looking at it wrong. You can do a lot of things over a period of a time, over a time period, but you can only do one thing at a time.
Yeah,
That's
no,
the
definitely,
key. Yeah, I
definitely,
mean, like you look at people like Elon Musk. He's doing a lot of shit, but when he's focusing on SpaceX, he's focusing on SpaceX.
exactly, exactly,
And he talks about that. Like you have to compartmentalize exactly your mind and what you're doing, and have that singular focus. It's all
yeah.
about singular focus and organization with everything. And it's hard because we live in a world where we are bombarded by a lot of things. But I think to get people on top of or on the right path of having this type of newfound focus or newly established focus.
Mm.
It starts with just practicing doing one thing at a time. If you're driving, you're driving. If
Okay.
you're eating, you're eating. And what really stands in the way from us doing one thing at a time? Our
Okay.
cell phones. So,
Yeah.
a lot of times people are driving and they're texting, they're Facebooking, they're Instagramming, they're driving and they're making calls and stuff like that. They listen to a podcast. And, I'm guilty of all of the above, but maybe when you
True.
drive, you drive.
Yeah.
When you eat, when you're in this, especially when you're relationships, when you're at this dinner table, you're there present with the people you're eating dinner with. You
Okay.
know, if you're having a conversation with somebody, you're having a conversation with somebody. And I know this may sound archaic, but it's truly, I think, the path for us to be able to get back in tune with our
Okay.
more natural sense, our much more intuitive sense. And
Okay.
then we can start, once we're more in tune with our much more natural sense, our more quote unquote animalistic
Uh-huh.
sense,
Uh-huh.
we can start becoming in tune with our five senses. And then we can,
Okay.
when we're really truly in tune with our five senses, it always guides us the right way. It
Okay.
always guides us right. Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah, yeah. So like, but most time we're just going. A lot of people are just going through the motions of life, and there's and when you're going through the motions of life, it's no way you can develop awareness of what's going on until it's too late.
Okay. Well, so yeah, and I see what you mean completely, and I agree with you
Mhm.
completely also because, like you said before, I'm also guilty of that. I'm not to the point where like you said before, you have some people, they finally meet up with their friends, saying their high school, saying their high school homies, their high school friends, that they hadn't seen in about like 5 years, or 10 years, or 15 years, and they're already on their phones, like organizing what they're going to be doing tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? So like,
Mhm.
bro, you're right now. You're with your friends. You know what I'm saying? So be with that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not at that level. I'm not at that level. But like you said before, I may be. You know what I'm saying? Driving, and I'm sending you a message like, "Yo, Rich, we'll see each other tomorrow." Instead of focusing on driving, because even if it's something so mundane as driving, which we do, a lot of us, saying drivers, we've been driving for so long, for so many years, it can be something considered such a mundane task that we can say, okay, we can do so many other things. I can, smoke a cigarette. I can, look at my calendar. I can even read what's going on for my next appointment and things like that. You know, but in reality, we should. What you're saying is that we should just, what, even if it's a mundane task, enjoy that mundane task and try to find something beautiful in that. Yes,
Well, I
is
think
that
I
what
think
you're?
I think life becomes much more rich this way when you just
Okay,
when you start becoming engulfed in the simple things of life, engulfed in the
okay,
simple pleasures of life. And
okay,
I think we've been programmed with marketing and stuff like you need more and more and more and more to be happy, but
yeah,
you really just need to be able to just enjoy what you're doing. That's
okay.
all. It's
But
like so many.
okay,
Go ahead.
and like I said, and that's where that conflict comes. You know what I'm saying? Because what I'm
Hmm.
trying to say is that, what I'm saying, I agree with you when you say, we should be happy, we should be content with what we have, but at the same time, don't we shouldn't we all shouldn't we oftentimes think like, okay, I'm happy with what I have, but how can I, saying, how can I transcend? How can I become, saying, more advanced? Things like that.
Well, you could just, but
When does one thing becomes the other? That's what I want to say.
well, you
That's
should.
the definition to have.
Like I said, you don't have to. You can have your cake and eat it too. You
Okay.
can still be really focused in the moment,
Okay.
but you can also have aspirations of learning more and doing more and being more. There's nothing
Okay.
wrong with there's nothing wrong with it. And then they really don't contradict each other. They actually, if you don't have presence, you don't really have shit. Because like
Exactly. Exactly.
a lot of people think they're transcending while they're doing 20 million things at once, but they're not doing anything but spinning themselves in a circle.
Okay. 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 Okay.
So,
Perfect.
and
Perfect.
like in any form of martial arts or any form of high level athleticism, it's all about being in the moment. And then once you're
Okay.
in the moment, then you can go into the zone. And you're an ex-professional rugby player, and you know how that feels when that moment is when
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
everything starts slowing down. You notice everything from the
You tune out.
grain
You tune out the
of the
crowd.
grass.
You're eating one exactly.
Yeah,
You
so
tune out everyone. Yeah. In that
but you're
moment.
still going somewhere, and
Yeah.
then the thing is, a lot of times I think what humans have been programmed with our mind is a very powerful tool, but we have so many more faculties in our presence,
Yeah.
and we never use that because all we do is use our brain, our brain, our brain, our brain, our brain, our brain. When you live with true purpose, it goes beyond thinking.
Okay.
It's just something that's ingrained in us. Like, I'm going to get better every day. I'm living my purpose. I want to become the best teacher I possibly can. I want to
Yeah.
give the best experience to my
Okay.
students and stuff like that, to help nurture them every
Yeah.
moment. And I want to learn and learn and learn and learn and do more. And it's nothing I have to think about anymore. I even have to plan for it. It just happens intuitively. It happens organically.
Yeah.
It happens
But
naturally.
that happened because you during that moments, like you said before,
Mhm.
be mindful during lessons, during
Yeah.
interactions with those students. You started to live that moment. You said, okay, you know what, this student, whoever he is or she is, they these are their particular discrepancies. These are their particular strengths. I'm going to work
Mhm.
on these. You know what I'm saying? And then later, my question is, talking from my point of view, because we're both teachers, we both
Um,
leaders of groups, and and I usually come across these recollections, these how can I say, these evaluations after the fact, and I usually think that, okay, this is my student. This is some of the strengths of my student. These are some of the weaknesses or discrepancies of my student. I want to work on this, and this, and this, and this. But it usually comes to me after the fact. Does that mean that that mindfulness
mhm.
projects and continues forward after
Yeah.
that moment? Because one of the things that and this is one of the things that I've been trying to, I've been actually teaching to some of my students, even though, like I said, I'm not so much of a spiritual guide, as you are, but I think that all teaching is spiritual, and I think that if you could get to the, say, if you could touch grounds on a person's spirit or ideals or beliefs or thoughts, then that's where true teaching begins. Because I believe that I'm not a teacher. I don't believe that you are a teacher. I don't believe that the ideal of teaching exists. I believe that the ideal is that we all teach each other. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
As so-called teachers, I believe that we are here to try to purvey, to convey, to transmit what we know, and to try to motivate our students, our pupils. And and a lot of times I think about my students, and I say, okay, how can I get to them? But it's always after the fact. But like you said before, it's that mindfulness that's important, because if I weren't mindful, if I hadn't been mindful during that lesson, during that moment, during that, saying those moments with that pupil, it's very, very difficult. I would be able to try to tap into, or try to connect, or try to communicate, as you said before, to converse with that student, with that person, with that alumni. You know what I'm saying? In the future, because you have to be, like you said before, mindful of what's happening at that moment in order to even communicate with the future. That's what that's the way I look at it, personally, and that's
For
where I've
sure.
had most of my biggest, how would I say, accomplishments, or my students, or my alumni, or my pupils have had their biggest accomplishments when I was mindful in that moment, and I was mindful after, to project,
Mhm.
what I'm saying, to convey something,
I like
um,
that.
yeah, no, I mean, and because like you said before, I think that's very, very important. Like you said, Richard, and we've, a lot of people, don't know, and I want to tell people, saying we used to always say a lot of the same things, saying, even, saying last, like, up until, like, saying from age 20 to 35, 40, we used to say the same things, and we used to argue about it, and like now I finally feel the fact that, saying that we're actually meshing, saying,
Mhm.
and that's wonderful. But like you said before, I think that being mindful at that moment is very important for being mindful when you're projecting the future. Not so
Mhm.
much important. It's not so important that, are you speaking to the universe, but how are you speaking to the universe? You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
it's a presence continuum.
Okay.
And it's like, and it's kind of like what they call, I mean, and this is some metaphysical hippy dippy stuff, but they call it the laws of attraction. You know,
Yeah, definitely.
you speak your future in the moment. So
Okay.
if
Yeah,
you
definitely.
think and you believe and you say things
Yeah.
that you're going to be great, that you are great, that the continuum continues until you are eventually great. Things and circumstances in your life just start happening to help
Exactly.
put you on that path. But
Exactly.
if you believe and think and say that you're whatever, then that you're so mediocre, that's what ends up in your future,
Oh, that's
mediocrity.
a fact. In fact, like you said
And
before, like you said
and
before,
it,
you know, it's
and
how
it,
it's how you read it. You know what I'm saying? Because
and you could even and you can make it even not so metaphysical. And Tony Robbins talk about it. Say you get better every day. You get better
yeah,
every day. It's the law of momentum. So if you're a sucky brother, you get
yeah.
better at being a sucky brother every
Brother,
day.
exactly, exactly.
If
Whatever
you
you are, yeah,
whatever you are until you change it, until you make a shift, until you make see whatever. But until you do that, you continue to get better and better. That's the law of momentum at whatever it is. And better could be good or better could be bad, but you get better at that.
exactly,
so,
exactly.
so,
No, no, completely. I agree with you completely on
and
that. You know.
that is the presence continuum. You know,
Okay.
it is a continuum, you know. And we can
Yeah.
even get deeper. Maybe, you know, time and space is all but an illusion, you know, kind of like some interstellar type stuff, but maybe another podcast.
All right. Hey guys. All right. All right. All right. All right. All
All
right.
right,
All
right,
right.
right.
Yeah. All right. All right. All right.
Right. And
That's
yeah.
done. Hey. All right. All right. All right. Right. But all right. So definitely, what I'm so like we were saying before that trying to go back. You know, what I'm saying because as always we always deviate. We always go off on a tangent. You know. So um so how should someone do you think approach a new year, or not necessarily a new year, but a new day. You know what I'm saying? Because we said before that you know every day is a new year. Every day is a new.
Yeah.
Every day is a new day. Every day is a new year. So how should we go about approaching the new year, um, knowing that so many things that we have going on in today? So how can I
What?
approach tomorrow?
I th- I, th- I think
Tomorrow?
I think you know before I used to be kind of I used to take your stance like you know it's whatever New Year birthday whatever, but now I start seeing like you know it's good at certain times in your life like a New Year, a birthday, to take inventory. You know you
Okay.
can write down and you can be present with. It's all about presence. You can be present and take inventory. Be honest about you like what's working in my life, what's not working in my life, and
Exactly.
then set goals. You know long term, short term goals and whatever, and then just let it go. Just let it be in you. You know what I'm saying? And then maybe you
Yes.
check in every couple of weeks, or you check in all the time, or even check
Exactly.
in once a week. You know, that's what I like meditation because or moments at night to reflect. Cause that's my time to check in. But you know, it's
Okay.
good to check in, and you know, and then you know, and think about what you want to do in the future. But you do things with presence. And
Okay.
Eckhart Tolle talk about that. You do inventory on your past in the moment. You
Okay.
plan for the future in the moment. You know, it's not like you're planning for the future. So everything becomes about the now. You know,
Yeah.
everything becomes about the now. And all the
Yes.
great spiritual teachers, that's what they talk about. That's the nirvana.
Yeah.
That's the heaven on earth
Okay.
or the heaven in general is
Okay.
just truly being present. You know, that's the philosopher's stone. That's
Yeah.
everything. That's the holy grail is presence. You know, and the people that can truly cultivate presence in their life moment to moment are the ones in my experience, and I notice in my life when I'm able to do that, I'm the most happiest, and those people are the most happy and the most joyful and the most productive, and are always progressing and always exploring and learning more new things, but with happiness, not with a sense of dreading,
Exactly.
you
Exactly.
know, yeah,
That rancor. That, exactly.
or worn out or burnt out, you know,
Exactly.
and,
Exactly. Exactly.
so
That
you know,
repentance. That repentance.
yeah,
That rancor. That saying
yeah,
that saying like, yo, bro, why did I do this or why did I do that? Yeah. Exactly. No. No.
yeah, yeah.
That's very deep. No. No. Because, bro, seriously, like I said, wow. And those are some of the same things that I think about. But I've never been able to express them in words. The fact that we do really need to constantly, and this is one of the things that I talked about in our last podcast a couple weeks ago. You know, I said personally, that I don't really care so much about a particular day or dates. If it's our birthday, if it's a particular holiday or things like that. But like you said, yeah, taking constant stock or constant inventory of what's going on in your life, what has gone on in your life, what can you project into the future? Yeah,
Hmm.
that's definitely something that's very, 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 very important,
Yeah.
and I'm not gonna lie to you. I think that that's one of those things that for me personally, I've been able to, how can I say, to look at, say I didn't have words for it, like like you gave just now, but being able to look at those things, take stock of things, saying what's going on, and constantly doing inventory. Like for me, my inventory is not yearly, like saying like most people who do New Year's Eve or their birthdays. My inventory is daily.
That's
I'm not sure
good.
if that's a good thing or bad thing, but that's my thing. And I'm constantly thinking about how am I talking to the universe? How am I, saying how am I living this moment of you said mindfulness. How am I, trying to project myself? How am I trying to
Hmm.
communicate with myself and with my future self and with the universe? And I think that can be very important. It might sound like you said before, very metaphysical, but I don't care about metaphysical. So many people talk about religion, so many people talk about politics, so many people talk about other things. Why can't I talk about say metaphysics also? Saying so. I think that a lot of these things, saying they all kind of intertwined. I think like you said before, and maybe I think it was like 3 or 4 podcasts ago about the fact of things happen. Saying it's how we approach those things, it's how we view those things, it's how we live those things after they've happened. If they will be negative or positive, which negativity and positivity are still ideals that saying that we can choose how to view them. And I really like the fact that you said that that um, we need to live all the time in the moment, not just sometimes in the moment. And I think that that's one of those things that I'm trying to work on myself personally. If it's because it's 2024 or because it's saying it's my birthday or whatever, that's one of those things that I have had in the back of my mind, saying, "Yo, Rigel, you really should start trying to work on saying living in the moment, not just sometimes, not when saying because the problem is also with me sometimes I say, okay, you know what, Rigel, this is a moment where you have to live in the moment, but I have to tell myself that no, like you said before, the thing is it should become the true nirvana, quote unquote, is when you're living in that moment without having to think about or trying to force yourself to live in that moment.
Yeah,
Um,
but it's like all things. It just takes practice, and
yeah.
then we've done a lot of practice being out of the moment. So we have to get our 10,000 hours in to break that habit. Yeah, yeah. So
But I have 10,000 hours a week on what's up or
yeah,
not what's up on YouTube. How
yeah,
am I going
bro.
to keep? How am I get another 10,000 hours of being mindful?
Well,
Can I
but
check one of
you,
the videos?
but see, that's what I'm saying. You can make YouTube a mindful experience too.
Okay,
You can be
I
like,
need to try.
yeah, like
Yeah.
I'm learning on YouTube. This is my time, and then you can even set parameters, even like. And I'm not a big fan of brownies and bram. And then just like, and instead of just mindlessly going through videos, maybe just after you watch the video, just stop and relax and absorb the information that you got from it. Not just like, oh, let me learn something else. Oh, I learned that. Let me get learn something else. Like then, are you really learning anything when you're just going through like a whole bunch of like different like things, or is it anything really sinking in? Yeah, maybe a little bit sinking, but instead of trying to get 10% to sink in, why don't we start focusing on trying to get like 50 to 60%
Of
of
just
things that
one
we
thing.
read,
Of just one thing. Yeah.
or not even just one thing of just anything, yeah,
Yeah.
or just one thing. It could be multiple things, but like you have to. I mean, it's important to just to take those breaks to let things integrate. You can't
Okay.
just go from one thing to another because, like, if you don't have that period of integration, it really fries our system. And then another point that you were talking about, like, it is good to take inventory, but like more and more I'm learning is like not trying to make it so much of an intellectual process. I think we get and I think that's what brings a lot of like like harshness against us and even criticism against other people because
Do you think
we
it becomes self-deprecating?
it can be self-deprecating. It can be it can be unhealthy when we just keep
Okay.
on analyzing things. But we can just see how we feel, just see how we feel, what's going on, and then maybe say, you know what, that didn't work out. So how do I
Okay.
want to feel? Start focusing on that type of stuff, like how you feel, how your other sensations are going,
Okay.
and instead of being so brain heavy, because our brain is like going down a rabbit hole. It's ever going. It's like at the end of the day, we're gonna criticize and nail things, and that's what's so wrong with a lot of like therapy out there. And I'm not a therapist, and not saying anything is bad with therapy, but a lot of analytical psychological therapy is
Yes.
based on the fact of like, let's go back and let's try to uncover your daddy issues or your mama issues, or da 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 da. Everybody has trauma, and you keep on going down that hole. You just keep on going, instead of like, mm, how did I feel then? Okay, I don't want to feel like that anymore. Start retraining your nervous system to act in a different way, and then start seeing more positive lights and things. Start shifting not only your nervous system, but also start shifting your perspective in
Okay.
the way you
Yeah.
in the way you see things.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but yeah, but you have to remember that you're talking to your brother. That was his line of study, also.
Yeah,
Psychotherapy and psychology.
yeah,
And also, like I said, I have no problems. Saying
yeah,
putting it out there. Saying even with my therapist, like you said, one of those things that's very important is how did I feel in that moment, and what did I want, from that
yeah.
moment. Saying, did I want to, say, do I want that feeling to continue? Did I want that moment not to continue? But I do think that, saying uncovering, some of those things are important, because if not,
Important.
I think that, saying, I think unfortunately, if we have some repressed feelings, repressed emotions, repressed
Exactly.
things or events in our lives, we're bound to constantly, say, repeat those actions, or have other people, fall victim to our reactions to those type of feelings.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So yeah. So so definitely, I think that yeah, I think that psychotherapists, again, like I said, it depends. I'm not gonna lie to you. That was my field of study. Psychotherapy and psychology, but I would never consider myself a psychologist or a psychotherapist. Or saying. Um, but I think that also at the same time, I think that we sometimes get caught up with, saying like, okay, you know what? I don't want to be happy anymore, or I don't want to be sad anymore. Saying what makes me not sad. Saying, but without addressing, saying, saying that elephant in the room. Saying so. I think
Well, yeah.
that sometimes I think that saying I think that personally, this is my experience with mindfulness, is that I've also experienced, saying something in this situation, saying I'm living this situation, I'm trying to appreciate this situation for its good, for its bad, but there's something in the situation that I don't like, and I don't know why I don't like it. Why don't I like it? You know what I'm saying? Because I think, saying this is my personal tenets, and I tell a lot of my students this, and I think that, and I try to live life through a prism's perspective. What do I mean by a prism's perspective? So you take a bulb, you take a light or a light source, any type of light source. You take a prism, and you take the eyeball, the retina, the cornea, iris, etc. Right? And what do you see? You see a ray of yellow. If you move your head or the prism or the light source just ever so slightly, you see indigo, blue, green, pervinca. You see so many colors. But the source, the median, and the receiver are all the same. So that means that everything exists simultaneously, right? So what my ideal is that, saying I think that the problem is that a lot of times we're always asking like, what don't I like about this situation? What I don't like about this situation? But I think that we should sometimes change our question, not to what don't I like about this situation, or what do I like about this situation, but why don't I like this situation, or why do I
Why?
like this situation? And sometimes just changing the ideal of the question often
Right.
changes, saying how we view things, saying overall. I mean, it could be the opposite also. It could be vice versa. It could be like you've always asked yourself, why don't I like this? Why don't I like this? Why don't I like this? And then you realize that the question you should have been asking was, what don't I like about this particular situation? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Usually, in my personal experience, it's always been the why. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I've always realized that, what I'm saying, when I found something that I don't like, when I found something that I liked particularly well, I found that to discover what the why is has been most beneficial for me. And I think that if you're constantly asking yourself, the same questions, the same questions, the same questions over and over again, what ends up happening is that you start getting fed up. You start saying, okay, well, I don't know, what's wrong with me? What don't I like? What's wrong with this situation? But yeah, if you keep asking yourself, because I think that personally for me, like I said again, if I say, okay, what do I like about my second cousin on my mom's side? You know what I'm saying? But if that same problem persists in someone else, you know what I'm saying? I won't understand it if I don't personally, if I don't say, why don't I like what he
Well,
says and what she says, you know what I'm saying? And I actually try to bring them together, And
what if you do this instead of like trying to like say even ask questions like what or why, you have somebody ask you a question, and instead of trying to intellectualize it, just sit there and feel how that makes you feel, and
and
then
that's what that's what I
and,
think therapy does
and,
for you.
and don't say anything, don't anything to yourself. Just sit there and see how you feel, and then
Exactly.
and then until you confront it fully, and then maybe you can breathe deeply into it, and then it maybe start resolving and then start releasing out of you.
Exactly. You
Yeah,
let those things,
yeah,
you let those energies flow through you. In fact, that's
yeah,
what I said before. I think that's what saying. And like I said, I kind of disagree with you on that fact. And I think that's what therapy helps a person kind of do. I'm saying,
yeah. No,
again, like I said,
okay, so yeah. Mhm.
so kind of see like saying, like I said, in fact, the what or why or how or when, those are saying superfluous. Those aren't really necessary. Saying
Yeah.
those can change from person to person, because I'm a very what person, I find out that the why usually
Mm-hmm.
helps me out better,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying? But it
Hmm.
can be different from person to person, you know what I'm saying? So a
Yeah.
person might, a person might feel like, wow, like you said before, I found out that the most important way to try to find, what I'm saying, that self solace, find that solace or
Hmm.
that quietude inside of yourself is to just say, you know what? How do I feel? You know what I'm saying? But for me, unfortunately, I can't just go arrive straight to the how do you feel. For me, it has to be, why do you feel that way? You know what I'm saying? And then later, for me personally, like I said, for me personally, but yeah, but like I said, try to always go back to the original question was, the original topic was of the day. I think that's and that's the reason why I'm trying to look at the new year as a way of bringing out that self, how can I say, that self inventory, that stock. You kind of convinced me last time, like, okay, Rigel, you know what, why not? And I thought to myself, Rigel, if you take stock of yourself on the 12th of October, for example, or the 23rd of February, why not the 1st of January? You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to do the same thing, even now, what I'm saying? And who knows? Like I said, it's always about, like you said before, bettering yourself, living that moment now, and then also recollecting what's happened and to see how that future, how you will arrive to that future. Because I think that also, not to sound, saying deterministic, but I think that, that everything happens simultaneously, and that, how we prefer to view the future. Like right now, I'm living this moment with my brother. You know what I'm saying? I love the fact that, in fact, I tell a lot of my people, a lot of my friends, a lot of my colleagues, a lot of my students, I love the fact that I, saying, every Tuesday night I'm here with my brother,
Yeah.
and saying, I don't care if we have 2 followers or 17 million followers. For me, I don't care. This is a good moment for me, but yeah, it's a good moment, and that because that's how I feel. You know what I'm saying? So it makes me feel good. It makes me feel pleasant. The fact that I can do this, and I think about why, and I think about the fact of why. that's for me personally, that I'm able to share something with someone that I care so deeply about, you know. And that's one of those things that, like I said before, that I can even take stock of. I can even do inventory of, even on the 1st of January or in the beginning of January of a new year, you know.
Mhm. Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
And